You're sitting here going, you know what, stress, seriously, I've got my own stress, as if I need anyone else's stress in my life. I hear that, I understand that, but from a professional point of view and as managers and what you're doing in your businesses, these are the reasons why it's important that you know how to manage stress in your people. What are some of the opportunities? There's so many different things. Obviously, employee assistant programs. Does anyone else here have an EAP in place? Employee assistant program is really about a company that said, you know what, we want to employ someone who is kind of our referral point. So if we've got staff that are under crisis or not are struggling in professional or personal worlds, we want to have someone, I guess, like me, that we can go and see Lisa. And Barton's are great. They give their staff several sessions each that is also open to their family. Because often it's family issues, that everyone is not just the worker. So what that does, and that's why I should have explained at the beginning, I apologise, is that type of organisation is saying we care about you, not just about what you do for us. And I think that's so important. And the value of it far exceeds the expense that it ever would. And so certainly it's very big in the eastern states, and in Adelaide, it's certainly coming more and more because, managers are going, far out, this is getting harder. I just want to do accounting, or I just want to be in the medical world, but now I'm dealing with, as a social worker, and like my husband, I don't know anything about psychology, I'm an engineer, so it's going, you know what, we're not equipped, because some of the things people are dealing with in life are tragic. So we need people that are equipped to do that. So, and presenting and doing workshops like this of just, educating people. Because where else do we get it? I think it's just recognising that in 2014, it's a very different world than it was in 1984. It wasn't probably necessary there, but the peak of mental health, and when I say mental health, people think, wow, but it's, depression, anxiety, just really struggling with life and its pressures. So that's something. Has anyone heard of the Global Corporate Challenge? My husband did this, he's done it a couple of years in a row. Have a Google of it. It's basically a global corporate challenge where you join teams, but it's global, so you're actually competing against other corporations. You wear pedometers and you have to do 10,000 steps a day. And what it is it's about, I guess, just trying to get some wellness into our worlds, getting people moving. Because at the end of the day, one of the more significant benefits of exercise is that it eliminates stress. So 3 lots of exercise a week, 20, 30 minutes a week, is the equivalent of 1 antidepressant a day, right? So you can see how powerful exercise is. And we all know it. Everyone goes, I need to exercise more, but it's not about weight and it's not about being fit. It's actually about combating some of the internal stuff and the anxiety and stress that we live with. So this Global Corporate Challenge is great. So it becomes a bit competitive. My husband would come home, he'd be like, and he'd be like pacing, like, I've got to do, it was great because it made people aware. So they would take the stairs, and it's over a 12-month period. The results were amazing. You'll see online, they take weight measurements and they change the way they eat, and it was phenomenal. And the other side, because the companies pay for it, it's sponsored by the organisations, is that, that the results were, more alert staff, they were more passionate, so it affected the bottom line in a positive way. So there's so many different things that we can do as organisations that don't cost a lot of money to actually equip our people to manage stress. When I used to do a lot of recruiting and interviewing, one of my questions was always, so tell me what stress looks like for you. How would I know as a manager that you're stressed? You're sitting at your desk, typing away, how would I know? And so many people go, I don't know. But that's a really important thing for you to know for yourself and for your staff. Because some people just withdraw, go into their little shell. Others become a little bit more manic. And then my other question was always, so what do you do to relieve stress? And that question was important for me because I needed to know that they had outlets in their world, that when they left work, if they'd had a really bad day, that they had things in place that they had to go to, that they just didn't go home and drink. You know, that there was I do kickboxing, or no, I play squash, or I've got a girlfriend that we go out for dinner every week. And it was just important to me to know that they were aware that stress was a part of life and that there would be good and bad days, and what did they do about it. And so for people in my team that didn't know that, I made them know that. Okay, let's talk it through. What do you like? What do you do? What are you going to commit to? And you might think, well, that's, pushing them into areas that it's not really any of your business. It kind of was my business. And they didn't have to do it. But every one of them loved it. They were like, no, I've had a bad day. I'm like, where are you going? Yep, boxing. See you, have a good night. So it's important. And for you guys as individuals, what do you do? What is your default for stress? If it's to go and drink alcohol, wait. There's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine, but it's probably not the best option every night of the week if you're stressed. So what is it that you do? What can you do? And what will you do? So Global Corporate Challenge, have a look, it's great. And it just creates a real sense of team, and then you're battling with people all over the world, and it's quite competitive, so it's good. It's 360 reviews. I don't know, again, in small organisations, just to sit down with your staff one-on-one and just doing a 360 of how you're going, what's the last year look like, not performance reviews. Because it's all about KPIs and accountabilities and, performance reviews. But when was the last time you went and had coffee with your staff? What's going on in your world? It's not about getting right into their personal stuff, but, or good question is, what's been the most stressful thing in the last quarter? What have you really struggled? And they'll go, oh, blah, 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 blah. Keep it in the back of your mind. Oh, okay. It's just getting to know them and asking, and being present in their world. So rather than being performance-based, be personal-based. You don't have to spend money on that. It's not about things like that. Wellness weeks, and that's not me. I don't know what you're doing in your worlds either, but the Good Box Organics are a great bunch of girls that I work closely with. They're a local mum group that put together organic boxes that they deliver every week. Produce like fruits and things. Get rid of the biscuits. That's one thing you can do. Get rid of the biscuits and replace it with fruit. And he's like, no, I like my Monte Carlos. But you might say, what has this got to do with stress? Well, it's actually got everything to do, because when we're feeding our body healthy, when we're actually replenishing our bodies with nutrition, that changes the dynamic of stress and how we react, because our body is fueled. So there's so many different things you can do. So knowing that exercise is a really good de-stressor, have walking groups in lunchtimes, have once a month, do something that's just a bit different, that's more about wellness and well-being, so that all of a sudden, it's a kind of your own EAP, employee assistant, it's all of a sudden it's like, we're interested in you as whole beings. So we know we're just bam, 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 let's, do work. But once my husband took on my advice, he doesn't very often, but once a month would take his guys out for lunch at the local pub, and he'd got permission to do that. I think there was about 30 of them, so it wasn't hugely cheap. But what they'd done is they'd cut back on drinks on Friday night. So they'd have drinks every Friday night. Well, they cut back on that, and they did that only once a month and used that money, because it was more about having relationships and getting off-site and doing something that was purposeful, and that created relationships, and it created a sense of, cool, we've got something to look forward to. So it's really important that you start thinking outside the square, because I know money's tight, I know budgets are tight, and you think, well, I can't afford to have people come and do whatever, but actually you can. It's about pinching in from different areas and going, is that really necessary? How can we cut back in that? Drinks every Friday night? Yeah, I miss those days, but is that the best option for our guys? Maybe not. Maybe it's about, having I don't know, session like once a quarter, having something like this where you do a workshop with, and there's just so many, you just got to brainstorm, and maybe you can go back to your people and say, let's do a wellness campaign. One of my clients, what they did was they got a girl that came in and brought all healthy snacks for morning tea for 3 mornings of a week. And it was just this, and they sat around, and it was 20 minutes, doesn't take much out of the time, and they ate all these new snacks, and it was like, oh wow, you know, and it just, again, pens down, let's do something a bit more holistic. I remember recruiting someone who, her partner, you know, this fly in, fly out thing that we're experiencing, it's becoming more and more common. So significant on our social world and children and families, and it's really significant. And so her issue was that she had 2 children, her husband worked away in the mines, and so she didn't, money was an issue, but we couldn't afford to pay her what she wanted. And so what we did was we negotiated to put her children in the childcare centre that was literally across the road from us. So, and we paid for it, and she got to have 3 mornings a week. She was able to go over and spend half an hour that was not outside, was not part of her lunch break, not morning tea, not smoke. That was just something that we said, you know what, just go and be. And she came on board, and I mean, her salary had dropped 30 grand, which is a lot of money. But that was more important to her for her whole well-being, so that she could go and spend time with her kids across the road 3 mornings a week with no penalty. So it's just things like that, you know, and I knew that was going to diminish this anxiety of, you know, of her kids being in care. They had never been in care before. She didn't want them to be in care, but she had, you know, it's those things. So it's just getting inside their head going like, what's really going to benefit you? Understanding the warning signs of stress. So sitting in here this morning, if I was to ask you, well, I'm going to ask you, do you know the warning signs for yourself of when you, yeah? Is anyone keen to share?
Breathing, holding your breath, frozen.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty intense. Of course you do. Of course you do. Good answer. You just go on through. No. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, shake. Yeah. But you?
I just feel overwhelmed, you know, like
yeah.
There's so many things going on. My mind is just constantly buzzing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this terminology we use in our world called flooding, where it's just this sense of flooding of, you know, adrenaline and biology mixing with mental, mind, emotion. It's just this sense of being overwhelmed. But how powerful, you think about our bodies, shaking, shortness of breath, being overwhelmed, that feeling. Like next time you feel like that, I just want you to stop, because that's your body talking. And we learn to brush it off because, oh, we'll get over it. But wow, that's massive. You know, that is a significant reaction to what's going on. And it's not a good reaction. It's not okay to put our bodies through that. But look how it's just become our normal. For the women in the room, I've just launched a new women's health retreat in Adelaide in October, and it's like a weekend of, you know, yoga, meditation, naturopaths, counsellors, workshops on stress and emotional resilience and all that kind of stuff, boxing training. So I've got some flyers here if anyone's interested. Could be a good time to kind of reconnect and get busy. But look, I hope today has given you something to walk away with. Again, thanks to Barton for such a great opportunity and for kind of leading the way in the market of doing breakfasts and sessions like this. It's amazing. I really wish you all the best. If anyone is interested in my services from an EAP point of view or a counselling point of view, or if you workshop in your own business, please come and have a chat. I'd be more than happy to spread the love and word. Okay. Thanks, Adam.
No, thank you.